There I am, Josh. I actually decided to stream live to YouTube. This will be posted to Odyssey, so don't worry. All you folks following me out there on those uncensorable platforms there, you can keep on catching me. Again, available on Float. Catch me, Josh R. over on Float. Catch me on YouTube. Catch me on Library. I decided I didn't want to bug Michelle too much more. I think she just got a whole lot going on in life. She promised herself to too many different things, and she's got a lot going on. So I haven't been bugging her, just letting her do her thing and figure it out. And with that, though, folks, coming to you again. If anybody wants to join me, I'm always open to other folks' opinions, thoughts. Michelle and I disagree significantly on a lot of things. We agree on a lot of things too, though. But I'm always looking for different perspectives and viewpoints, especially folks that have been here a lot longer. With that, let me go get into today's show, into why you want to move to Devine, why your mother and I are disappointed with you, for the folks that do live in Devine, degenerate parents, the minimum wage and taxes and healthcare, just a quick blurb on that, and the Devine Public Works hiring some folks, as well as animal control, and all the different places you can find us. With that, folks, go ahead and jump on into today's show. Why move to Devine? Well, let me start with you here. You don't necessarily need to move to the city of Devine. You can move to the broader area. So there's a lot of small towns around Devine that aren't incorporated. They're more or less just regions that people live in. Now, if you want to have all the space in the world, those are great places to live. If you just want to be out of suburb hell, well, Devine, the city, is actually a great place for you. We've got a few amenities here, but it's still small and rural enough that you don't have to deal with quite as many Karens. You don't have to deal with quite as much traffic. You don't have to deal with quite as much taxation. Now, I know I've been going on and on about taxes here the past few weeks, but it's just that kind of time of year where government looks to squeeze a little bit more juice out of all of these lemons. Well, I'll tell you what. If you're looking for an opportunity for a small, quiet town, one where you don't have to worry so much about your kids getting abducted, one where you don't have to worry so much about your house getting broken into all the time. That's not to say there aren't any bad things that happen here, but there's a lot less than out in the city. But you're still close enough to San Antonio, the 7th largest city in the United States, might I add, to get the high-paying jobs, to get all the nice amenities. If you want to have a nice night out, you can still drive there. 35-minute drive, but it's still achievable. We've got plenty of restaurants in between. And you still have all the wide open space that if you just want to take a drive out in the country, you can. If you want to make some friends with folks in town, they've got a pond. They call it a stock tank down south here. Point being, you get all the benefits of rural living, and you're still close enough to San Antonio to get some of the benefits of that city living. So why not? To go a little bit farther here, there's also a small enough area where you can actually have an impact. So to give you an example here, and we'll link in this a little bit here in a bit, I talked to a gentleman at the VFW who said, city's just too big, you can't make a change here. That's crazy. I've personally seen the change. City council will vote on anything if there are enough angry folks present. And that's why I say it's still small enough to change. Because you know how many people were at that budget hearing last Tuesday? There were about 5 of us. You know how many of us had anything at all to say regarding the budget and tax increase? 3 of us. Myself, Mr. Montgomery, and Miss Keenan. That's all. Nobody else cared enough to show up. I don't even know how many folks are even sending emails to city council members. So I'm going to encourage you highly, send your emails to city council, because I know nobody was there. I was there. Wasn't nobody else there. Get those emails out. District number 12345, whatever district you are, at cityofdevine.org. Send them an email at least. Don't get on Facebook and complain next year when your property taxes are through the roof. Get involved. Which is why your mother and I are disappointed in you. Why weren't you present? You had the opportunity. You had the knowledge. I know I was texting multiple folks days before, day of, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I'll be there. Nobody showed up. Do not complain if you will not participate in the government. There are so few people who want to do much out here. We get maybe 10 or 15 of us out here that really want to see change. I 100% guarantee you we will see change. People don't care enough to get involved. People don't care enough to actually say, hey, let's spend that money a little smarter. That being said, I still don't know what the budget looks like, because I asked the city administrator for it a week ago and couldn't get a response. So I sent another email, CC'd my district representative on there, and Hopefully she can put a little heat under his rear to get me a copy of that budget. I just want to be able to look it over before I say I am adamantly opposed to this budget. Because I didn't really have an opportunity to say much last week because I couldn't get a copy of the budget. Didn't have a chance to look it over then because I had never received a copy. So hopefully with a copy I can have some intelligent comments of, hey, here's where we should cut money. Here's some things you can do to mitigate these sorts of costs. Because at this point all I have is, why are we spending money to get new pumps for wastewater when you won't even let me use probably 3/4, maybe probably closer to 90% of my wastewater, which is gray water my lawn. I have to pay money for well water, which we have to pay more money for the maintenance of, and chlorine, all the chemicals, all the pumps, the backup pumps for when the power goes out, which big thank you to the city for actually looking ahead and getting ahead of that. They are actually taking steps to fix that. They've allocated some of the $1.4 million the federal government gave us to getting those emergency backup or generators for the pumps, rather. So folks are taking good steps. That being said, there's still very minimal money being allocated in the budget to these city streets, which, again, I don't know because I can't get a copy of the budget. I'm a little frustrated by that. But Corey Thompson, he pointed that out. And I'm glad he pointed that out. He was very appreciative to have a few of us show up at least and make comments to the city in general, city council. But again, we need more folks to get engaged. And now this is where we kind of roll into folks not having enough money. You always complain you can't afford another property tax increase, but apparently you can't afford an hour out of your week either. Hell, an hour out of your month. If you can't come out for that 1 hour for that property tax meeting, what are you doing with your time? How are you that busy? If you're that busy, you're either working too hard, not thinking enough, so you're not making enough money, or I think you're full of it because everybody can get away for that hour. I can assure you, I've got kids with practice as well. We make it happen. We've got 2 kids with practice. Those practices don't ever match up in the same day. I've got a full-time job. Get home from that full-time job, get those kids taken care of, get them picked up from daycare, get them fed, and then rush off to a city council meeting. I've got a farm. I've got animals to take care of. We got daily pasture moves. I assure you I'm fully tapped on time. What's your excuse? Now, this goes into minimum wage. You can't afford this stuff because you don't get paid enough. Well, cities now exceeding minimum wage. They're hiring 3 public works employees, 2 for public works and 1 for animal catcher, or animal control rather. They've got a young lady, I don't actually know her age, but I'm just going to say young lady, working animal control right now. And one of my neighbors, she was inquiring about city hiring. So I said, hey, check it out, because 2 ladies working on the same thing, I think you'd feel a little bit better than working with a bunch of dirty old men in public works. And I can't guarantee the environment there. I mean, I can't guarantee any environment, but, I tend to question what I want my daughter to go work there, but I feel like she's going to not have to deal with some extra harassment. Working with another woman, I feel like you might be a little better for it. Maybe, could be wrong. Just assumptions. But point being, there are opportunities out there to work in the town. Not going to make it rich, but there's enough money and it's better than minimum wage. Also, just a great starting position or a great retirement position. If you're a little bit older and maybe you retired around 40, 50 there, you can still get another 5 or 10 years of working. And it's not back-breaking labor. You do have to climb down manholes and such, but opportunities exist out there for you. Now, why are people hating on the minimum wage so much? Why do they need a living wage? I get in debates with my wife about this all the time. It's not that they refuse to pay a high enough wage or they don't feel like they should have to pay a high enough wage. It's that, well, look at where all your money's going. Half of your wages go to federal taxes. The federal government's always stealing more money out of your paycheck. If you actually look at that paycheck, look how much money is going off to stupid federal programs that fund garbage. How much of what the federal government does do you actually think is a good idea? Do you think a $700,000 televised cricket league in Afghanistan was a good idea? Well, that was just a couple years ago. And that's just a single example. There are tons of examples of wasted money. So before you go hating on these companies saying you won't pay me what I'm worth, if you want me to work, then pay me what I'm worth. Well, look at how much they have to pay the federal government just to allow them to hire you. So before you go asking for things, kind of like all these folks on Nextdoor and Facebook saying, this city sucks, this city is dirty, well, do something. So if you're going to complain about the company not paying you enough, then maybe you should contact your representatives. If enough folks do, we might see some change. Just saying here. I'm actually doing a separate show. Link to this later. Keep content a little bit shorter, but you've got to contact folks. Let them know you're upset. Reduce taxes. Cut the freaking taxes. I don't care about any program. They will make up 1.5 trillion reasons, just like the city is a microcosm. Well, we need to maintain the golf course. We need to maintain this. We need to maintain that. We need a splash pad. We need to maintain the park. I don't give a crap about any of that until required infrastructure is taken care of. Until I can drive to the golf course or the park or a splash pad without breaking my car, I don't care. Nobody cares. This city will never be better until the basic infrastructure of transportation across actual roads rather than dirt paths is fixed. And that is the core issue here that Corey's having, and I tend to agree with him. I really appreciate him continuing to point this stuff out. And I heard him the other month when he was pointing out that they'd already spent all their budget surplus and they're spending into the next fiscal year because they're spending money on dumb stuff like these new hangars for the airport. No one uses the airport. No one will pay to have the airport paved. So less planes are coming in there because it's not paved. Nobody wants to damage their undercarriage. Again, it's just like a problem here. They can't see the forest for the trees. It's just the inability to really have foresight and see what are the core issues versus all these symptoms they keep throwing money at. Don't ask for more money. Don't ask for a higher wage until you can get to that core issue. Why can't you get a higher minimum wage? Because so much money gets stolen via taxes before you're ever hired. As soon as you're hired, at least half your money, half your paycheck is being taken by the federal government. The government just hides that from you through withholdings. Well, folks, that's all I got for today. I wanted to keep this nice and short because I noticed on YouTube our average view time is around 6 minutes or so. And we're posting 30 to 50-minute episodes. So that's just not quite cutting the mustard. That being said, I did switch to Restream instead of Zoom. So a little bit better video. You'll notice this is about 720 instead of 1080p or anything like that. Well, I wanted it to stream faster. So that's one part. And I'm also uploading to Library Odyssey, which they strongly discourage 1024. So they say 720 at most, just to, again, get that speed going. So it's a little bit grainy, but I know I've got beautiful blue eyes. I think you folks can probably get through that for the content of this. With that, I'm going to do another show this week on cryptocurrency, why that's important, why you should get after that. And that's all I got for today, folks. Have a great one. Check us out on Odyssey, Library, YouTube, and Float. That's Divine Independence and Float, Josh R. Take